Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Well, we all saw it. I mean, I didn't get to see it live, but even on the replay, what a thing of beauty. On October 13th, 2024, SpaceX's Starship launched for the 5th time. And not only did it take off as per usual without an RUD in sight, but it also returned its first stage super heavy booster directly back to its own launch mount, which is really just some straight science fiction nonsense that is now totally real. So let's get into this launch, the new boxes it checked, and what it means for the future of Starship. So just after 8 a.m. on October 13th, 2024, Starship launched its 400-foot-tall Starship vehicle from Starbase in South Texas. And while this was the 5th launch, the mission was aiming to break new ground, not only for Starship, but for spaceflight in general. As I discussed in a previous video, SpaceX was planning to return the enormous super heavy booster directly back to its own launch mount, the so-called Mechazilla. And the launch tower would catch the booster with its chopstick arms on the launch tower. And for many reasons that are probably pretty obvious, this was a really big deal. Never mind just returning the booster to the launch tower, but essentially catching it in mid-air. This is brand new territory when it comes to space travel. And I remember at the time, even when I was covering it in my video, I was like, okay, SpaceX, if you say so. I mean, I appreciated the bold strategy, but part of me was just like, huh, really? Like many things SpaceX related, it was kind of hard to imagine, but then it happened. About 7 minutes after liftoff, SpaceX's Super Heavy executed what appeared to be a bullseye landing, hovering near the Mechazilla launch tower as the tower captured it with its metal arms. Now there's a lot of footage and a lot of angles of this catch, but I'm going to try and show you as many of them as I can.
Velocity. Oh, we can see it coming down through the plume.
Booster coming in hot for booster catch.
We're going to ignite 13 of those Raptor engines, and this view is incredible right now. You can see how fast this vehicle is moving on the left-hand screen.
Landing burn has been ignited. We're now down to 3 Raptor engines. We can see those chopsticks now in view. Super heavy booster back at the launch tower.
That last voice is Kate Tice, who is SpaceX's manager of quality systems engineering. And to me, it sounds like she's kind of choked up. Dan Hewitt, SpaceX spokesperson, added an, "Are you kidding me?" and went on to say, even in this day and age, what we just saw, that looked like magic. Which is not that far off. I feel like sometimes we use the word magic, not only in the Arthur C. Clarke quote sense of, any technology sufficiently advanced being indistinguishable from magic, but I also think in the sense that when something is really, really hard and it works and it goes like stunningly well, we're just like, wow, magic. And the booster was not the only goal for Flight 5. SpaceX also aimed to send Starship's 165-foot tall upper stage, simply known as SHIP, up to space, bring it back to Earth, and splash down in the Indian Ocean. And that occurred about 65 minutes after liftoff, with SHIP firing 3 of its 6 engines hovering over the ocean and then tipping over and exploding, which is fine. It can explode after it lands. That's okay. And that footage was equally like, whoa, especially from an unexpected buoy cam.
Landing bird startup.
Reflection of that landing burn.
We can see the water just behind the ship.
Starship has landed.
An incredible view. I think it is safe to say we have a ship in the water.
Touchdown!
That is a live view from the ocean surface. What an incredible end to Starship's journey. A live view from a buoy that we had out at the landing zone.
Kate Tice said that was amazing. We were not intending to recover any of Starship, so that was the best ending we could have hoped for. And Elon agreed, tweeting out, "Big step towards making life multiplanetary was made today." Now, this progress for Starship is not just very cool, it's also really good news for both SpaceX and NASA. Remember, SpaceX is developing Starship to settle the moon and Mars, among other exploration feats. The vehicle is designed to be fully and rapidly reusable, thus the whole catching the booster back on the landing pad. NASA selected Starship to be the first crewed lander for its Artemis program of moon exploration. If all goes to plan, Starship will land NASA astronauts on the moon for the first time on the Artemis 3 mission, which is targeted to launch in September 2026. SpaceX aims to get Starship up and running to meet these deadlines via its usual development strategy, which is basically tweak, quickly test, tweak, quickly test. And Flight 5 was no different. One of the key upgrades on Starship ahead of Flight 5 was a complete rework of its heat shield, with SpaceX technicians spending more than 12,000 hours replacing the entire thermal protection system, with newer generation tiles, a backup ablative layer, and additional protections between the flap structures, according to SpaceX. So far, Starship has had just 4 test flights, and with each one, the rocket has done better. Flight 1, which was just last year, only lasted 4 minutes. As we all remember, SpaceX pressed the explodey button after Starship's 2 stages failed to separate. But by the time we got to Flight 4 in June, it was basically a complete success. Ship reached orbital velocity, and both it and Super Heavy survived their return to Earth and reached their designated splashdown zones. So for Starship to manage to do all that again, and this time Super Heavy lands in its little chopstick arms, I mean, it was a pretty happy day at SpaceX. Now, if it were up to SpaceX, Flight 5 probably would have gone up earlier. SpaceX said that Starship was ready to go from a technical standpoint in early August. But these launches require approval from the FAA, and they said that they needed more time before okaying this one. And actually last month, the FAA said that they didn't expect approval to come down for Flight 5 until late November. The FAA said SpaceX's current license authorizing the Starship Flight 4 launch also allows for multiple flights of the same vehicle configuration and mission profile. SpaceX chose to modify both for its proposed Starship Flight 5 launch, which triggered a more in-depth review. However, they went on to say, in addition, SpaceX submitted new information in mid-August detailing how the environmental impact of Flight 5 will cover a larger area than previously reviewed. This requires the FAA to consult with other agencies. And SpaceX was not happy about this. On September 10th, 2024, the company published a blog post titled "Starships Are Meant to Fly," which claimed that the FAA had previously given SpaceX a mid-September estimate for Flight 5's approval. The document also expressed frustration with the FAA's pace and process, as well as in general launch industry regulations. SpaceX wrote wrote in the post, "The Flight 5 delay was not based on a new safety concern, but instead driven by superfluous environmental analysis. We find ourselves delayed for unreasonable and exasperating reasons," the company added. "Unfortunately, we continue to be stuck in a reality where it takes longer to do the government paperwork to license a rocket launch than it does to design and build the actual hardware. This should never happen and directly threatens America's position as the leader in space." But in the end, the late November estimate by the FAA for Flight 5 was pessimistic, and approval clearly came like 5 weeks earlier. And this is the back and forth that I think is going to go on. I think it's safe to assume that SpaceX wants to launch the next Starship mission when they think they're ready. I mean, just this past September, SpaceX conducted a static fire, which is a common pre-launch test with the Flight 6 vehicle. But personally, I'm okay with the back and forth. I think it's a healthy push-pull in the space travel business, or really in any exploration business. And to be honest, I've been catching up lately on some of the OceanGate hearings, testimony, and just yikes. I'm not saying that SpaceX is anything like that. I'm just saying that the idea of going unchecked when you are building something that people are going to eventually go into is trouble. So maybe I'm a little biased right now watching the fallout of the worst case scenario, but when it comes to these type of regulators, I'm like, push pull, push pull. So I will keep you updated on Starship Flight 6 because it is coming. Probably not this year, but I honestly really want to see another Mechazilla Catch. So I'm like extra excited for this one. I just don't think I really comprehended how beautiful it was gonna look. It really was stunning. So congratulations to everyone over at SpaceX. Man, I got some smart people over there. So let me know what you guys think. Were you blown away by Mechazilla? Surprised that it worked on the first go? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video.